Welcome to the Midday Roundup for May 5th, 2025. Today we're diving into some key developments in AI, tech infrastructure, and even some fascinating environmental initiatives.
That's right. First up, we'll look at managing these increasingly complex distributed IT systems. Think edge, multiple clouds, data centers. It's getting complicated.
Yeah, we've got an Information Week article on that, then we'll shift gears a bit.
To Mexico, actually. There's really interesting Wired piece on communities using marine refuge zones to fight overfishing.
A community-led effort, which sounds promising.
Definitely. And finally, we'll touch on some new AI hardware from Vention, an AI-ready controller aimed at industrial automation. That comes from AI Authority.
Okay, quite a mix. Let's start with the IT side then, the distributed systems.
Right. So the Information Week piece really emphasizes how enterprises are leaning into distributed systems.
For performance, scalability, the usual drivers.
Exactly. And cloud systems obviously make scaling easier, maintenance often handled by the provider, but distributing everything creates these big challenges.
Like what specifically?
Well, data, processing, governance, it all gets spread out. Yeah. And you really need some kind of central management to keep it all coherent.
Okay, so let's unpack those challenges. The article mentions the attack surface first.
Yeah, and that makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. More locations, more devices.
Precisely. You've got edge devices, cloud services, maybe less secure personal devices connecting. It just exponentially increases the places attackers can target.
So keeping everything patched and secure across all that, that's the struggle.
It's a huge task.
Yeah.
And the article stresses needing a proper architectural framework, not just buying more tools, but figuring out how security and monitoring tools actually work together end to end.
Integration, not just accumulation.
We got it. Strategic integration.
Okay, challenge number 2, data consistency. This sounds like a classic problem, but maybe worse now.
It's definitely amplified. Getting that single version of the truth, making sure everyone's decisions are based on accurate, consistent data, it's crucial.
And harder when data lives in so many different places.
Exactly. The article says lots of companies really struggle here. The standard best practice is using ETL tools, extract, transform, load.
Right, to pull data together, clean it up, put it in one place.
Yeah, normalize it, unify it into repositories, improves quality. But interestingly, the article also flags kind of an old school issue that's still relevant.
Which is?
Batch processing.
Batch processing, really? In the age of real-time everything?
Well, think about it. Real-time updates across, say, the US, Brazil, and Singapore. Consolidating inventory, costs, finished goods.
Yeah, that sounds complex and maybe expensive.
Very. Or sometimes just technically not feasible. So IT still needs to manage these intraday or nightly batch jobs. When do you pull the data? How often?
Finding that balance between timely data and what's practical.
Right. The article makes a good point that optimizing these batch schedules, often neglected, but it's actually critical for, best-in-class IT delivering high-quality data on time.
So some old fundamentals still really matter. What's the third challenge?
Face management.
Okay, inefficiency.
Yeah, things like citizen IT departments just spinning up their own cloud services or apps without central oversight.
Leading to redundant tools or unused subscriptions?
Exactly. Plus, just historical baggage. Old servers, unused apps, overlapping systems just sitting there. It's worse in distributed setups where there's less visibility.
And harder to track.
For sure.
Yeah.
The suggestion is using proper IT asset management software, maybe zero trust networks, to really identify and track what's being used.
So you can actually sunset the stuff you don't need, save some money.
Precisely. And vendor contracts are part of this too. Departments might have deals IT doesn't even know about.
All those auto-renewing contracts.
That can be killers. So IT or maybe an audit group needs to actively review contracts across the whole organization to cut out unused services.
Makes sense. A central view is key.
Absolutely. The main takeaway from Information Week is, look, managing distributed IT is tough, no doubt. But there are tools, there are methods, even refining older things like batch management helps.
And the CIO has a big role in communication.
A huge role, educating the rest of the business about why security, governance, data consistency matter. It's about reducing corporate risk, ultimately.
Okay, that's a good overview of the IT challenges. Let's switch over to the oceans now, to Mexico.
Yeah, this Wired article is quite hopeful, actually. It focuses on communities taking the lead.
To deal with overfishing.
And environmental damage, yeah. They're setting up these fishing refuge zones.
Okay.
The example they highlight is the Celestin Fishing Refuge Zone. Set up in 2019, covers about 324 square kilometers.
And it's managed locally.
By a community group, yeah. With support from scientific, bodies like IMEPAs and Cobian. So it blends local know-how with scientific rigor.
Why is this so needed there? What's the background?
Well, globally, marine populations are in trouble. The article mentions a 56% decline worldwide in the last 50 years.
Wow, 56%.
Yeah, and over a third of fish stocks are currently overfished. In Mexico specifically, fishing supports around 200,000 families. Over 700 species are fished.
But the stocks aren't healthy.
Analysis shows a big chunk are deteriorated or, maximally exploited. Oceana's analysis says 34% are in poor condition.
That's alarming. Is the government stepping in?
That's a key part of the story. Mexican law apparently doesn't require the government to protect fisheries.
Seriously? No legal obligation?
Seems not. Oceana has been pushing for changes, even filed legal actions. A proposal to help recover fisheries got stuck in Congress.
So government inaction, essentially.
Pretty much. And that's why communities started requesting these refuge zones themselves.
Taking matters into their own hands.
Exactly. Now, there are refuges in Baja California Sur, Quintana Roo, Campeche, covering over 2 million hectares in total, benefiting about 130 species.
That's quite significant coverage. How does the Celestone one work day to day?
The local team monitors it. The article talks about them dealing with harmful practices like hookah diving.
Hookah diving? What's that?
It's this really dangerous method used mainly for sea cucumbers. They use gasoline-powered pumps on boats to feed air down hoses to divers.
That sounds incredibly unsafe.
It is. There have been accidents, deaths. But sea cucumbers fetch high prices. Especially in China, the article mentions over $150 a plate.
Wow. So that drives this risky fishing.
Yeah. And in Celestone, violating closed seasons basically decimated the sea cucumber population. That's actually what pushed the fishermen to ask for help setting up the refuge to let the population recover.
So the fishermen themselves initiated it?
In that case, yes. It shows how vital community involvement and local knowledge are, especially when, top-down government action isn't happening.
And these aren't just no fishing zones.
No, that's important. They're not total closures. They're areas managed sustainably, with the community providing that oversight. It's about co-management.
A really powerful example of local action having a real impact.
Definitely. It shows what's possible when communities are empowered and combine their local understanding with scientific support.
Okay, from the oceans to the factory floor almost. Let's talk about Vention's new AI controller.
Right. Machine Motion AI. This was announced recently, reported by AI Authority.
And the idea is to replace traditional PLCs.
Yeah, pretty much. They're positioning it as a plug-and-play system for next-gen robotics and automation.
Yeah.
It's got AI built in and even cellular connectivity.
AI built in? What does that enable?
It uses embedded NVIDIA hardware Jetson, so it can run pretty demanding AI workloads right on the controller. Think autonomous robotics.
Like vision processing, making decisions on the fly.
Exactly. They showed it off with an autonomous bin-picking robot at NVIDIA GTC. It uses NVIDIA's Isaac libraries, which are CUDA accelerated for these kinds of tasks.
Okay, and the cellular connectivity, that's unusual for an industrial controller, isn't it?
It is. It uses Bell LTE in this case.
Mm-hmm.
The big advantages are things like over-the-air software updates.
Ah, so no need to physically connect for updates.
Right. And remote support,
Yeah.
cloud-based analytics for tracking performance, optimizing the AI, all done securely over cellular, independent of the factory's local network or firewalls.
That bypasses potential network bottlenecks or security headaches within the plant's network.
That seems to be the idea. Keep it connected, supported, and secure without adding complexity internally. That's a quote from Vention's CEO, Etienne Lacroix.
Interesting. What else does it do? You mentioned replacing PLCs.
Yeah, it's designed to consolidate things. One unit can apparently control up to 30 daisy chain motors.
30, okay.
And coordinate robots, conveyors, vision systems. All from this single cabinet-free unit. It delivers up to 3,000 watts via EtherCAT.
Cabinet-free. So it's designed to be mounted right on the machine.
Looks like it. It's in an IP54 rated enclosure, passively cooled, even has a 360-degree beacon light.
And compatibility. Does it work with major robot brands?
Yep. They list compatibility with ABB, FANUC, Universal Robots.
Yeah.
The big names.
How do you program it? Is it complex?
They say it supports both code-free programming and Python. And you can simulate using a digital twin, either in the cloud or on the edge with a physical twin setup.
So flexible options there. Seems like a significant step towards more integrated, intelligent automation.
It certainly looks that way. Integrating the AI compute and the secure, independent connectivity directly into the controller. That could really simplify deploying and managing these smarter manufacturing systems.
Yeah, it removes a few layers of complexity. Bill Canada also chipped in with a quote about their network ensuring reliable connectivity.
Right. Invention is showcasing it at Automate 2025 in Detroit.
So we'll likely hear more about its real-world applications soon.
Probably. It definitely signals a trend towards smarter, more connected industrial hardware.
Okay, so quite a range today. We went from the complexities of managing our sprawling digital infrastructure.
Yeah, those IT challenges around security, data, and just plain waste in distributed systems.
Hmm.
A reminder that fundamentals still matter.
Mm-hmm. To this really inspiring community conservation effort down in Mexico.
Showing the power of local action, local knowledge, when maybe bigger systems aren't responding fast enough to environmental threats.
Absolutely. And finishing with this cutting-edge AI controller from Vention.
Pointing towards potentially simpler, yet more powerful, intelligent automation in manufacturing. Integrating AI and connectivity right at the source.
So it really highlights these shifts. Managing complexity, the power of local action, and the drive towards more integrated intelligence.
Definitely lots to think about there.
We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights. Maybe think about which of these developments sparked your interest the most. Are there questions still lingering for you?
Yeah, always good to keep digging into these topics.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this midday roundup.